I have come up with a unique topic, and that unique topic is the last revelation from divine. And we will pick up the opening chapter of that last revelation, and the opening chapter is known as Surah Fatiha. Surah Fatiha has 7 ayats, we can say verses, and these 7 ayats are in the language of servant, whereas the entire Quran is a word of Allah. So if you will read this 7 verse, it will be as if a servant of Allah is supplicating and seeking forgiveness and all sort of requirement that he requires from his creator. So we will go step by step, and we will begin with the first verse of that particular chapter. So this particular first verse is a prefix to all the chapters of Quran, and it states as Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So you will find this as a prefix to all the chapters, that is 114 chapters of Quran. So likewise this chapter also has the same beginning. So let's understand this particular verse, which means in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. So we will support this particular ayat with other verses of Quran from different chapters. So let's begin with exploring this particular ayat, how this ayat is supportive and supported by other verses. So I'll begin with Surah An-Naml, which is the chapter 27 and verse number 30. It reads, "Indeed, it is from Solomon, and indeed it reads in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful." So when you read this ayat of chapter 27 verse number 30, it specifies and it is explicit in nature that Solomon has written a letter to the queen, and that letter starts with in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. So what does it explicit and what does it explains? It's very much clear. So whenever you begin with any kind of a work, whenever you have an intention to do any kind of task, whenever you are commencing any type of a work, so you need to have that particular proclamation. As Solomon is proclaiming, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, as he is writing a letter to the queen, and his beginning is with the name of Allah and the attributes of Allah. So let's support more verses of Quran. The Surah Ikhlas, which is chapter number 112 and verse number 1. So it specifies Kul huwallahu ahad, and the translation is, say Allah is all alone. I always say, never I go with one. I always say Allah is always alone. Allah is all alone. So there is a reason behind it. So let's see the another ayat. The another ayat from Al-Araf, that is chapter number 7 and verse number 180. So how this verse reads, let's explore. To Allah belong the most beautiful names, so call on Him by them. So over here it is giving us a guidance that how we should remember our Creator. That's more important. So Allah is giving us a guidance that all the beautiful names and all the beautiful attributes belongs to the Creator. And we need to remember and we need to be very much conscious about our creator, not only our creator, but creator of everything. Whatever creation and creatures that we see around us is being created by the creator, which is Al Khaliq, Al Malik, or we can say Allah. So now I would love to go with the another verse, which is from Al Hijr, verse number 49. Inform my servants that I am indeed the forgiving, the merciful. So Allah is explaining the attribute of Himself. Most merciful, most forgiving and merciful. These attributes are very keen attribute that we need to acknowledge. It's very important for me and like me, all the servant of Allah, we need to understand that our creator is forgiving and He is gracious and Allah is merciful. I avoid saying Allah as He or whatever the pronouns. Our language has limitations. I say all the languages have their limitations. So if I say he or she, that is not correct. It is totally incorrect. So I would replace myself. I would love to correct myself. Allah is Allah. Allah is neither he nor she, because Allah has created he and she. Allah is not 1, 2, 3, 4. Allah is only all alone, and we all belongs to Him, and we all will be returning to Him. So let's go and support the another ayat for this Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and it is from Surah Anbiya, that is chapter 21 and verse number 107, and which states and which specifies in Quran, and we have sent to you, that is our Prophet Muhammad has been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah is specifying about the importance of Prophet Muhammad, the final messenger. So he's saying, and we have sent to you, O Prophet, except as a mercy to the worlds. So that is what, again, Allah is merciful. So Allah is specifying His Prophet as well as a mercy to the worlds. So His attributes, He is shadowing it, and that replica is seen in Prophet Muhammad as well. Because if we will not show mercy, then Allah will not show mercy on us as well. So mercy is a key factor. It plays a significant role being human. If you are a human, then you should have this particular attribute within yourself. Okay, so now we'll go with the next ayat. That is Surah Taha, that is chapter number 20, verse number 5. And it specifies the most merciful, who is above throne established. So again, it gives us the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah is merciful, who is established and who is above the established throne. So it's a key factor that we need to understand always. And now we will go with the last verse that I have picked up from Quran, and that is Surah Az-Zamur, and that is chapter number 39, verse number 53. And Allah says, say, O my servants who have transgressed against themselves, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. So this particular statement, whenever we say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, so this most gracious, most merciful. For example, if any one of us in our day-to-day life, routine life, we have a lot of stress in our life, we are going through a lot of stress. Someone do not have money, someone do not have family, someone do not have some or the other thing is going in our life. But if we concentrate and if we be conscious and we know that all away, there is the another attribute of Allah, that Allah is all aware of everything. So if we put our believe and if we put our trust and we submit ourselves to the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is Allah is most gracious as most merciful. So if you have done anything wrong to yourself, and if you trust that He will spare you and He will bring mercy upon you, because Allah is merciful. So this particular ayat, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, is very important. We need to understand and we need to practice this particular ayat in reality. In reality, just reading it from mouth is not serving the purpose. Reading it and understanding it and then implementing it is more important. So I would conclude my talk today, and I would say, always remember and be conscious of Allah, and say in your heart and say in your spirit, and your heart and your heartbeats and your vessels and your thought process, your consciousness, everything from the top of your head till the bottom of your toe, you should be conscious of Allah whenever you say, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. So it's very important for all of us. Take care. Peace be upon all of you.